Hey EllisFamLifers, and welcome back to another episode of Keepin It Real. In today's episode, we're going to talk about IEP. We're going to answer 3 questions. Number 1, what is an IEP? Number 2, who is it for? And number 3, how does it work? So if you are new to our channel, thanks for joining us. We are EllisFamLife, #AutisticTwins. We're here to do 3 things. We're here to raise, relate, and educate. Number 1, we want to raise awareness and acceptance for nonverbal autism. Number 2, we want to relate to caregivers, family, and friends who deal with autistic people. Number 3, we want to educate by showing you examples of what our life looks like with nonverbal autistic twins, Alex and Will. Thanks for joining us. Today I want to answer 3 questions about the IEP. So the first question is, what is an IEP? An IEP is an individual educational plan. Somewhere in your journey, if you have an autistic person in your life, if you have a child who's autistic, if you're a caregiver, the child in your life displayed some kind of delay, whether it was they don't talk, they do strange idiosyncrasies, something is off, and you know something is off. So you've probably gone to like your pediatrician or the daycare teacher, the preschool teacher, other family and friends, whoever, and said, there's something wrong. I don't know what's wrong, but they're not meeting those milestones. So for us, it was, we talked to the pediatrician and knew that the boys were not talking and they were doing stimming and had other like weird behaviors that made me wonder if they were autistic. We started with early intervention, and generally what happens is the child will go through an evaluation process. So licensed therapists, behavioral analysts will do an evaluation and see where your child falls in those developmental milestones. And it'll be things like, can your child stack 3 blocks? Does your child know 2 to 3 words? You know, there's that list, you can Google it. What the milestones that they need to hit by 12 months, 15 months, 18 months, 24 months, and it just keeps going. Generally, what happens is the child will go through an evaluation. A report is made. Those therapists will sit down and write out a report stating what the child is able to do and what they lack. Then the report gets sent either to early intervention or the school system. And generally, the people who do the evaluation are the ones who are going to help you. Let's say it was early intervention. Early intervention did the evaluation and then said, okay, these are the things we need to work on. The things we need to work on are the IEP. So the individual educational plan. It is that child in a nutshell. Their educational needs, where they are developmentally, what milestones they haven't hit, what they lack, and then what they need to progress and reach those milestones. So that is your IEP, individual educational plan, this child in a nutshell, where they are, what they lack, and what they need to progress. Then usually what happens is, or what happened in our case is, we sat down with the coordinator of early intervention and figured out the IEP. We did it all together. I was a little worried the first time I sat down to discuss an IEP and develop an IEP, because I'm like, I don't know. I'm not the licensed therapist. They kind of guide you on, okay, here's some goals that we're looking at. This is what we think twins need to accomplish. This is how we're going to do it, you know, different play therapies and that kind of thing. So they really guide you through it, but they get your input, because parental input is very important. I mean, you're the main caregiver. Both with early intervention and then with the Board of Education, we sat down with the teachers and developed our IEP. When we did it with the Board of Education, it was not the same therapists who are actually teaching our children. However, the report is very detailed, and then they turned it over to our teachers, and then the teachers are the ones who sat down with us and said, okay, here's where they are, here's what they lack, and here's what we need. The summer before they started 3-year-old preschool, we sat down with our teachers and developed an IEP with a lot of guided assistance. The way preschool works is, it is a special needs preschool. It doesn't look like a regular preschool like 4K, where they've already learned their letters, they know most of their colors, and they can talk in complete sentences. This pre-K is a little different. It's 3 and or 4-year-old pre-K, and they basically work on life skills like going potty, washing your hands, feeding yourself, just basic life skills, because mostly these children have not reached the developmental milestones that they need to reach in order to progress in the school system. The classroom is comprised of 2 different groups. 50% are regular, normal peer group, and the other 50% are the delayed kids. And it's a mix of autism, Downs, developmental delay, different cognitive delays. So there's a mix. You've got the 50% regular kids kind of adding positive interaction and positive reinforcement, kind of to provide examples and be a part of the classroom setting for the kids who are still behind. Each classroom had one teacher, have 2 aides, like 8 in the class. Also, they've got speech, occupational, and physical therapists there as well, working with the kids one-on-one along with all of the classroom time. Well, IEP, Individual Educational Plan, we answered the first question, what is it? Number 2, who it's for your kid if they are developmentally delayed, if they've got autism, if you've gone through an evaluation where you know your kid is just behind and needs some remediation to catch up. What does it look like? I want to just give examples of the boys' IEP. So this is a progress report that I receive every quarter from the school system. This comes from their teacher. And at the beginning, in the summer, we sat down in a meeting with the teachers and therapists and developed each boy's IEP. I know a lot of you have watched my We Know They Were Autistic series, and we actually didn't have a big meeting this last summer because we didn't have to change the IEP because the boys did not progress at all the school year before, which was 2017 to 2018. So they were 3, no progression. We just kept the same IEP, which was very discouraging, as I'm sure you know. So this time around, this is the progress report for the IEP for the second quarter. So it gives us goals, it gives us report of progress on annual goals and the extent of progress. So there's 2 different legends. The first legend is report of progress on annual goals. So this is actually a progress report of the IEP. So this is not the IEP itself, but it kind of fleshes out the IEP and what it looks like as far as like what the boys did this last quarter and basically both quarters. So this is kind of their report card. It's way different than an academic report card. Here's your life skills report card. At the top, it's got the school system, the student's name. This is Will's progress report, and the IEP initiation duration dates. So we started in August 8th, 2018, and we're going through to May 23rd, 2019, so the whole school year. The review date will be May the 14th of 2019, so we'll have another meeting at the end of the school year to see how we did. We got this report on January 7th, 2019, so this is the report for the last 2 quarters. Then there's a legend on this side, and the legend is pretty important. Use the legends below to evaluate the student's progress toward the annual goals. The first column is report of progress on annual goals. So the legend, number 1 is the best. So number 1 is the goal has been met. Number 2, some progress has been made. Number 3, very little progress. Number 4, no progress. And number 5, very little progress made to the point where we added a goal or deleted. So basically we had to modify because there was so little progress made. 6 is just like a transfer of records from a previous school. Okay, so that's column number 1. Column number 2 is the extent of progress toward meeting annual goals. So number 1 is goal has been mastered. Number 2, we anticipate mastery of goal. 3, we do not anticipate mastery. Number 4, it's not applicable during this grading period. And number 5, goal was not mastered. And then 6 and 7 are like transfer records, that kind of thing. So there's our legend. The bottom 2/3 of the sheet, it gives us our measurable annual goals. Now the goals are the IEP. We pulled that from our IEP put together back in the summer. So the first goal is, by May of 2019, while in the classroom environment, Will be able to show awareness to spoken directions by looking when his name is called, standing up when asked, coming here from a maximum of 5 feet, or attending to other directions 80% of the time in 4 out of 5 trials. I love how specific these are. Certain number of times, certain percentage of times, a certain number of times in a row, that kind of thing. It's very measurable. In October, he made a 2 on the progress, and a 2 is some progress has been made. And then on the extent goal, it says also a 2, and meaning they anticipate mastery of this goal. Now in December, he made the same. He made a 2 and a 2. So the description that they wrote out is, he looks up more when adults are speaking in the classroom. He stands 60% of the time, looks when his name is called 20% of the time, and will come to an adult with gestural prompt from less than 2 feet away. So he's making a little bit of progress. He'll look up about 1 out of 5 times. He'll stand up about half the time, and he'll come to an adult if he's less than 2 feet away from that adult with gestures and not just vocal, but has to have gesture prompting. The second goal is by May of 2019, Will be able to match object to object or picture to object from a field of 3 when directed 80% of the time in 4 out of 5 trials. So this one he was kind of discouraging. In October, he made a 3, which means very little progress was made. And then in December, he made a 4, which means no progress was made. Extent goal is a 2 on both, meaning we do anticipate that he will master this goal. It says in the description, he does better to work when standing. He does not match same objects or picture to object from a field of 1 without physical assistance. So he wants hand over hand. Now, I gotta stop and explain hand over hand to you. Will has kind of gotten in his head that hand over hand means that he has to have your hand over his before he can do something. So like, let's say he's eating a cracker and he wants to eat that cracker. Well, he'll go and put the cracker in your hand and then put his hand in your hand so that you can help him do hand over hand to put the cracker in his mouth. So he's kind of taken it to an extreme, which is what I think is probably happening here, where he's so hung up on hand over hand that he thinks he has to have your hand in order to do a task. So I hope that's what it is. So we've got another semester to see. The third goal is by May of 2019, William will be able to wash his hands with verbal or gestural prompting 80% of the time over 2 scheduled school weeks. In October, he made a 3, which was very little progress. And in December, he made a 2, which was some progress. And then the goal extent is a 2. We anticipate he will master this goal. And the description is, Will reaches hands out for soap and places hands under water, but does not rub hands or dry hands without assistance. So he's halfway there. Will is also very tidy to wash his hands, to put the hands under the water. He doesn't rub his hands or dry yet, but we're halfway there. The extent goal is also a 2, meaning we anticipate that he will master this goal. The last goal is by May of 2019, Will request basic wants and needs through the use of a total communication system. For example, picture exchange, sign language, switch usage, and or words 10 times in a therapy session during 3 consecutive sessions. In October and December, he made a 2 on both, meaning some progress. And then the extent goal is also a 2, meaning we think that he'll master this goal. And the description says, Will used iPad choice board to select 1 reward item out of 4 pictures. So he's getting there. We'll just see how he does over the next semester. All right, let's move on to Alex. So Alex's looks exactly the same. He's got the same dates, the same legend. So his first goal is by May of 2019, while in the classroom environment, Alex will be able to show awareness to spoken directions by looking when his name is called, standing up when asked, coming here from a maximum of 5 feet, or attending to other directions 80% of the time in 4 out of 5 trials. So Alex made a 2 on everything, on October's and December's, and a 2 is some progress has been made. The extent goal is we think he'll master this. He stands up 60% of the time when asked. He makes more eye contact when speaking in the classroom. He looks when his name is called 20% of the time. He does not come to an adult when asked without physical prompts. So he's a little different from Will. He's still standing up about half of the time. He looks up about 1 out of 5 times, but he does not come at all when an adult calls him. So Will comes if he's close to you and you gesture. Alex won't come at all. So there's a difference between the 2. The second goal is by May of 2019, Alex will be able to match a minimum of 25 identical or non-identical items from a field of 4, 80% of the time in 4 out of 5 trials. So he made a 2 on all of these. October and December made a 2, some progress. The extent goal is we think that he'll get it. And the description is matching variety of identical and non-identical objects. Now, Alex is really good at matching. He loves matching cards, physical cards. He loves matching games on the iPad. And Linda has told me he'll anticipate if he sees the one that she's got up in her hand before she's even put it down, he'll go ahead and try to do that one too. He's very bright and very quick. I anticipate that he'll get this by May of 2019. Third goal is by May of 2019, Alex will be able to wash his hands with verbal or gestural prompting 80% of the time over 2 scheduled school weeks. So in October, he made a 3, which is very little progress. But then in December, he made a 2, some progress. And the goal extent is a 2. We think he'll get it. It says he will reach hands underwater without a prompt, but does not rub or dry without assistance. So he's not quite as far along with Will about looking for the soap, but he will at least put his hands under the water. So he kind of knows what we're doing. The last goal is by May of 2019, Alex will request basic wants and needs through the use of a total communication system, picture exchange, sign language, switch usage, and or words 10 times in a therapy session during 3 consecutive sessions. In October and December, he made a 2 both times, so he's got some progress. His goal extent is also a 2, meaning we think he will master this. His description is using a picture choice board on iPad to choose a desired reward item. So he will choose an item on the iPad as a reward system. Basically, they've made a little bit of progress, and I can see progress between October and December, and I think there's 3 good reasons why they've made some progress. Number 1, I think the first semester, it took a minute to get into a routine. I think it probably took about a month. Well, we lost about a month there just trying to get back into a routine from the summer. I think that kind of delayed the learning. The second thing I think is probably about a month into school, we went to 5 days. We were doing 3 days, half days, and we went to 5 full days. We kind of eased into the school year because we didn't know how they would tolerate being away from home so much since they were not daycare kids. The first month we only did 3 half days a week. After talking with Miss Linda, we all agreed that 5 days a week would be fine because the boys were acclimating very well to the school environment. That more than doubled the amount of therapy time that the boys were getting every week. The third thing is we started using CBD oil for the kids, and I noticed an immediate difference. I know a lot of you have watched my CBD video. I noticed an immediate difference with the amount of vocalizations, the different vocalizations that Alex was doing, the amount of attention span. I felt like the attention span was way better. He would look up more at home, more eye contact. Both of them were doing better eye contact, fewer meltdowns. Like the meltdowns decreased greatly. And I think a combination of all those things has really helped the boys progress. Linda actually texted me the other day and said, I'm kind of brainstorming what are a couple of goals that you really want to see before we finish in May, because in May we'll change to a different school system. So she only has another semester with them. We were kind of sad because we really love all of the teachers at our current school. Anyway, and she said, what do you really want to focus on? And the first thing I said was, in all caps, going potty. I would love for them to go potty. And then I texted her and said, but please, no pressure. You know, of course, there's other things too, and I don't think you're going to be able to work that kind of miracle. Although I'd love it if you could. And I said, the most important thing for me is communication. If they could just even communicate those basic Maslow needs of food, water, comfort, elimination, warmth, cold. They can do some, like Alex will do hand over hand if he wants to go to the pantry or the refrigerator if he's hungry, or if he wants to go outside, but he doesn't. I don't know if he's thirsty. I don't know if he's, poopy, needs to go to the bathroom. I don't know if he needs comfort. He just cries or stems. And then Will has even more crying, stemming issues and has even less hand over hand. But then he does other things better. He self-feeds better. So each kid has their strengths, the things they do better than the other, and then the things that they lack. So anyway, I told her really the most important thing to me is their communication, because we are having a hard time communicating. We've tried sign language, picture board, the iPad, hand over hand. It's just hard to get through the autism fog. That's the most important thing, is getting through that fog. And I think continued 5 days a week of school and continued, that much therapy, I think that we do have a chance for them to at least communicate some basic needs by May of 2019. So we'll see. It is January 2019 as of the recording of this video, and I'll keep y'all posted. Question of the day: have you had to deal with IEP? And if so, what did you think? Leave me a comment and let me know what you thought. And also, if you think of something that I didn't address in this video, ask me and I'll try to answer. Thanks for watching. If you like our show, click that thumbs up, share it, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to next time.